We're living in an attention economy. Attention or eyes on your product or service is gold. You'll be successful if you think a little bit like a drug dealer. From 2022 to now, I have 3 million website visits and almost 4 million podcast downloads. My format is pretty rigid. The quality thing, I hyper focused on that. So my revenue in the first 9 months was...
The biggest question people have after launching their podcast is how to grow their audience. Christian from German Stories faced the same question, and it took on added importance after his business partners stole his original content. In this interview, you'll learn how Christian battled back, launching a new business, and he'll detail the core strategy he used to grow his podcast to 4 million downloads while battling ADD. This is a story you're not going to want to miss. Welcome to Member Sherpa's High Altitude Case Study Series. Who are you and what's your background?
Yeah, my name is Christian Leuschner. I come from Germany and I studied journalism and communication studies in Austria. Not Australia, Austria, where they speak German. And when I finished university, I applied for jobs, and chief editors or bosses of newspapers and media outlets, they told me straight away, we are lucky if we don't even have to fire the journalists that we have now on our payroll. And here you come around the corner applying for jobs, so that's not gonna happen. While I was studying, I heard the whole media thing was becoming more important. Like the Arab Spring was made possible on Twitter and coordinated, and I was like, yeah, I'm studying the right thing. It becomes more important. But then that never that was it was not true, I guess. So journalism never took off for me, and I did some PR and copywriting jobs, but I also never liked those. Maybe also I should say this, due to the fact that I have ADD. I don't want to use this as an excuse, but if you know a little bit about it, it is a pretty good explanation for a lot of stuff, at least. So co-workers tend to get the idea that you are resistant to advice. And he thinks he's better. Like I told him 3 times, he still does what he does, what he thinks is best. So he thinks he's better. I don't know. I didn't want this to happen, but I heard that a lot. And the PR and the copywriting and the journalism, that never took off for me. And I always had a passion for languages. Like I could wake up on Saturday with a cup of coffee and flashcards. And then in the afternoon, I could watch some shows in that language. And in the evening or night, I would fall asleep listening to a podcast in that language. I had a real hyper focus. And I taught myself French and Spanish and Italian and Portuguese, and not yet Chinese. Now I do speak it, but I knew I wanted to do something with languages. Google Translate was already around, so I figured, if that gets better and better, don't even try to become a translator or something. By the time you're there, it will have overtaken you 10 times. So I was kind of at a loss. What should I do? So I was my career was nothing. I figured, screw it. I go to China. So I went to China, started teaching German in the college, then taught English in smaller private schools. And in 2018 or 19, it was when the government decided overnight to kill the billion-dollar industry of these small language schools. They all got forbidden. Then I continued as a freelancer. And that's not the best paying job in the world. And you can't even save for holidays. When you don't work, then you get no money. And when you have a holiday, then you get no money and you don't even have money for the holiday in the first place. So a friend came up with the idea to make a podcast. And that's basically my story that happened before my life and before my business endeavors.
Quite the adventure heading to China. I know I'm in South Korea and I've been here for about 15 years. It's been an exceptional experience. So I can only imagine. I've been to China actually a few times and I always love traveling there. It's one of my favorite countries to travel to. I've been there a few times now. Hotels are amazing. The food's amazing. The sights pretty spectacular. But Enough about travel. What is your business? What exactly is your business?
Well, we sell subscriptions. Um, we have a podcast that is German stories, learn German with stories. And there's a website, german-stories.com, that accompanies it. And well, you can sign up and then you get the transcripts when you where you click on every word and there's a pop-up. Oh, this word means that in English, and it's a noun, and it's masculine or feminine or whatever. And you have exercises and you have flashcards, but not boring, monotonous ones. Like you get asked in different ways, like sort the words or write the word or only listen to the German and then select English multiple choice. Or you have like 10 different ways of asking you the word. Um, and there's extra audios. For example, you can study German grammar while jogging through the park. You don't even need to look at your phone screen. Uh, we have exercises that are not bad. Like if you get an exercise like an answer wrong, it will tell you in like one or two sentences why it's wrong. Or your answer would have translated to this and that in English. And obviously you can't say that. So the other answer, which translates to that and that, is obviously right. So it's not like, oh, you got it wrong, try again. And not only that, like the story thing uh, starts from zero and ends at 100. So let me explain a little bit if you have some time.
Yeah, I have a lot of time.
Okay. Um, well, if you like remember Harry Potter, I mean, it doesn't even matter if you remember it or not, if the listeners remember or not. You can probably imagine how it must have been. You can't wait to open the next chapter, can't wait to get the next book and already pre-order and stuff. The story hooks you, and that is German stories. So we want to make a story that starts from zero. You can, like, 0 words, you can already start with the story. And the story continues in small steps until you reach the whole end of the level. And you get the grammar and the vocabulary spoon fed in small steps, bite sized chunks along the way. And if you look for a competitor, you won't find any. I mean, there are like story learning stuff, but it's like, oh, you already have to have learned the first level the old school way, and then you can enjoy our story. But it won't even lead you to the next level. It's just like accompanies you a bit. There's no real plan behind it. So that's the kind of the niche that we picked to be able to do that with a story. Yeah.
Interesting. Few people know this, but I actually have a special talent for language learning. I'm using Anki, so I use flashcards to learn languages.
Yeah, me too.
And no matter how much I study, I just can't get better at the language. So that's my special talent. How would a story help me with that?
Well, if I made the same mistake, like if you just study flashcards, I don't know, like contract or something, and you never deal with contracts in real life, and you never hear that word again. Like the taxi drivers, the guys in the restaurant, your wife, nobody says the word contract, and it's only in your flashcard. You probably forget it, and Anki is gonna mark it as a leech after five
Mhm.
wrong tries or something.
I know that well.
But yeah, me too. And but imagine, I don't know, you have a version of Harry Potter that starts with just like, "Hello, how are you? My name is," and in really small steps, like 15 new words per chapter, and just a tiny bit of the grammar per chapter. You are allowed to continue the whole Harry Potter story till the end. Um, and then you have these words like, I don't know, Hermione did this and that in the bathroom with the ghost, and then the ghost in the bathroom, and it's in the, and you get some grammar and phrases, and you want to know like what happens next, and then what the school, the headmaster, that mean one, what he did while you were in the hallway where you were not supposed to be with that map, the secret map, and then you're like, you have to learn all that stuff, and you really enjoy it, and you're like uh, kind of really motivated. Not like, okay, there's the word, it's contract, and contract is probably a good word to learn, so I should know, I should learn it, I should know it. What if somebody ever says contract? But it's not grounded in something that you're really excited, like a story that like you probably will remember. I don't know. Hermione's ghost or whatever, 10 times
Right.
more than contract. Because
Right.
I don't know, maybe he scared her and you're like, ah, that's funny. He fell into the toilet or whatever. So then
So
there's
when my wife is yelling at me in Korean, that would be a little more motivating to know what she's saying.
yeah, I learned so much stuff. There's a I don't know if that's interesting to anyone, to anybody, but there's a say to call your husband an idiot in Chinese, and it's 神经病, and Bing is the last word also for like getting sick, like you have a sick body or something like that. But then you can add in like 5 cents. You have a 5 cent sick body, like 神经无毛病. I was like, wait, did you just said you are sick and put the 5 cents in the middle of that? So you said you are 5 cents sick? Yeah, yeah, I did that. And they explained to me and laughed at while they were explaining it to me, and I'm like, that's crazy. You say you are 5 cents sick, and that's now like an insult for someone. So I think I will probably not forget that.
Well, hopefully it could be a little bit more than 5 cents, maybe a full dollar or something. But so, how did you get the idea to start this business? Because there's a lot of language apps, and they all kind of have their own unique spin on how to learn languages. How did you get the idea to start this particular business?
Um, well, the idea was pretty easy, and a friend of mine came up with the idea. We were in a well-known foreigner restaurant or bar, and I think we were drinking either coffee or beer, having a pizza, and we were just talking. In Kunming, in the city where I'm in China, or probably many cities where you have these expat bubbles, like everybody's like, "Hey, let's do a makerspace. Let's open a company. Let's kind of like let's grind a little bit, hustle a little bit, and or open a company or something." Nobody's just like, "Hey, I want to be a 9 to 5er." Like they're all kind of
Mhm.
like a bit entrepreneurial, and I got mm, kind of caught up in that. I like the idea and the vibe, and so he had that vibe too. And he was like, "Let's just make a podcast." And I had 10 years of experience of self-learning languages with language learning podcasts and textbooks and apps and like flashcard apps, and I knew like I would know how to make the best version of that or what they were lacking, and we would just throwing ideas. Oh, we should also have that, and then in the podcast we should also like repeat everything with a pause so they can then say it after us, and then we tell them what it means in English, and then also a little bit of grammar, but not like explaining in the German plurals just in one lesson. I mean, maybe split it up in 10 lessons, because like just giving them a little bit so it doesn't overwhelm them, and like throwing ideas back and forth, and then we had it. So it was random. He came up with the idea. We were like, I guess, spitballing is what you would say, and then that was not hard. The hard stuff was still to come.
Well, what major challenges were you facing, like when you first started it?
Um, so the first podcast episode was released in December 2021, but we started actually in 2019. We already, like before the website that it is now, german-stories.com, we had another website with a different name, and the story had a different name, and we were doing like we were working together on it, but we had different opinions on about how the story should go, and we were using the phone text chats to communicate. Hey, can you go to lesson 24 and improve that or whatever? And if you ask me, text chats or like texting is the devil. Like I heard like 80 or 90% of communication is like how I say it and what face I'm making, and like how loud, and like all the stuff that's not in text. And if you write text back and forth, like people read between the line what's not even there, and then it goes down from there. And one day he deactivated my admin account while I was working on the website and never let me back in. The thing is, he was a tech guy. um, yeah, he also wanted to contribute to the story in his own way, but he was a tech guy, and I didn't even know what the difference between a website host and a website domain is.
Right.
Yeah, so I had to learn all that and also improve the story, because I always thought he's working endlessly and tirelessly in the background on the very same thing, and it's like it's a race. It's on now, and he has an advantage. He knows a bit of the story and much more about tech than me, and he will probably like deleted his ideas from the story and then say, okay, I need to replace them with my own ideas, so this thing is wholly mine. And I suspected, hey, what if he just takes it as it is, including 80% of my ideas, the whole learning story, adds a little bit to it, and then publishes it. And and that's actually what he ended up doing, including more of my stuff. So I wanted to be different. So I improved the whole thing and opened the company and started to learn a little bit what it is like to what if yeah what being a businessman is. Still haven't figured that out yet, but
But
yeah.
you figured out the tech, or at least the critical parts of it.
Yeah, the website is full up and running. Also, like outsourcing, hiring people like a programmer, like the flashcards. I could have never programmed that or anything for that matter on my own. Like it took 9 months, and I took money out of my pension savings, like my stocks, to do
Right.
that to pay him. I had no money, so I took it out of there, and yeah, so everything is working.
I've known a few people now who've started businesses with partners and they always end badly for some reason. I think it's kind of like a marriage, but maybe the divorce rate's a little bit higher with founders. So, yeah, glad you're able to work through that. Now, how was growth like for you once you started the new business?
So I um, published the first podcast episode in December 2021, but I think then the website wasn't even fully functional. It was there, but let's say 2022 counts. And so from 2022 to now, I have 3 million website visits and almost 4 million podcast downloads, around 100,000 podcast downloads a month, sometimes 90, sometimes 120. And at least in the podcast world, I'm sure that's more than 99% of people get, and probably more than 99% of people who create a website get. But it doesn't mean like I skyrocketed. Like it was a slow grind, slow start, a slow rise, I guess. It continues to
So
be a slow rise.
you started from zero. So you went from basically zero website visits to 3 million a month.
No, no, no. To now, like now it's 2025, and
Oh, okay. So in total.
yeah, in total,
Oh, okay, okay. And then you have about 100,000, roughly $100,000, or sorry, 100,000 podcast downloads a
a
month.
month. Yeah.
That's pretty respectable. You must have a pretty decent sized email list.
Um. Yeah. Let's say I have stuff to learn. I have like 450 people, so it's not decent sized.
Okay, okay. Still small, but you're slowly collecting them. It's a
Yeah, yeah,
grind.
yeah, yeah.
So with 100,000 downloads, I mean, I'm just starting a podcast now. I have this one. I'm starting another one in the investment space. What were the critical factors for you to reach 100,000 downloads per month?
Um, I think it was just like be better than everybody else. I mean, I have I spent 4,000 euros on Fiverr, where work is pretty cheap. Writing messages back and forth with voice actors. I had the whole story voice acted, and I myself went to the editing program and put like footsteps and door opens, door closes, and ambience, background noise, everything in there. So it's a whole like audio play before I say it sentence for sentence again and make you repeat it and tell you what it means in English. And that alone, if you go to the German learning podcast world and look for that, then there's only like three podcasts. And but with the other two, you can start from zero. So I think the quality thing, like I hyper focused on that. And if I take the 80/20 rule into account, I probably overdid it. Um, I did prob- probably too much work and like too high quality, and I could have gone away with way less, but that's how I did it.
I know Omar Zenhom, who does $100 MBA. I interviewed him for the first podcast.
Yeah, I
I'm
saw that.
embarrassed to
I saw that.
say,
Yeah.
yeah, don't look up that podcast. If you're watching this, don't watch that. It's it's embarrassing, let me say. But the one thing that he said
No, I
that,
liked it. I mean, I saw the
well,
video on YouTube. I liked it.
let's just say it was rough around the edges because I was just starting out as my first podcast. But yeah, one thing that he said that was very smart is the best way to grow a podcast is to have an awesome podcast. So,
Yeah.
if you're putting all this time and effort into making this podcast awesome, it's no wonder that you're getting 100,000 downloads every month.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. uh, it's not growing though. It's like it continues to be at that number. So
Mm.
that's probably
I've,
where people like reach out to other podcasters, do collaborations, change up the format so that they can have guest hosts, and all that is just is still in front of me because my format is pretty rigid. It's only me reading the story and inviting other people. What are they gonna do? So it's now that guy reading the story.
right.
It wouldn't really make sense. But in the future format, I will get to this later. I can have like collaborations and stuff, which would be nice. But we forgot
Absolutely.
one thing. You asked me about the money details, and I was still gonna tell you that. Well, first of all, like most podcast listeners never buy anything, only your super hardcore fan base, and it takes like months and years to build. So you told me your listeners are really interested in like in how many euros. So my revenue in the first 9 months was, drum roll, €5.
Oh, wow.
But in the first year it was 800. So after September, I think that's when the semester somewhere starts, and they figure out I took German and I have no idea, I should get some material. So then it picked up. In the second year it was 8,000, from 800
Okay.
to 8,000, and this third year was from 8,000 to 16,000. But it's 16,000, not 160,000. So in a way, I feel like a schoolboy and not a businessman.
Well, everybody starts somewhere. And, you're talking about doing podcast appearances. And I think that's a great idea. Have you tried running ads, running advertising to the podcast?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I'm testing now 1 month doing without ads. Let's see if that affects the growth rate. I'm doing like something between 60 and 100 euros per month just from the ads, which is not a lot. Um, I did, but it's not there's not much money coming in. Like most of the money, like I don't know, 98% comes from the subscriptions from the website, from the extra that whole thing offers.
Well, I'm more talking about running ads to your podcast to grow the audience. Have you considered doing anything like that?
I tried a little bit, but I'm not very good at it. I mean, I tried
Mm,
like 2 times, but I got like for like $50, I got like I don't know, a just few clicks or
mm.
few. I think they measure the clicks, how many clicks your podcast got, and I was like, wow, that's like I don't know, 50 cents per clicks or something. That's pretty bad. So I still have to find a good way to do that. Um, if you have any tips on me, if you're free.
Not for running ads. Actually, I'm pretty good at writing content, articles and growing websites that way. But in terms of running ads, no, I'm definitely not the expert there. I know there's people who are really good at that, and you can hire them from Upwork, I believe it is. Another option, and I just kind of thought of this, is there's obviously big current events that are happening in various places. Have you considered writing short stories, like 5 minutes or something, about a major character in those situations and just kind of having it funny? I don't know.
It's actually a good idea. Stories about.
That one's free. The next one you got to pay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I can pay. No worries. Let me actually write that down.
I'm on Instagram sometimes, and when I'm just, exhausted at night on the couch, flipping through my phone.
Yeah,
And
doom
every so
scrolling.
often I come across these really interesting AI generated videos about Donald Trump or Putin or something like that.
Hmm.
And they're just doing kind of wacky things.
Yeah,
And those things, if they're funny, people share those a lot. So you might get a lot of exposure that way. I don't know, just something to think about kind of outside the box.
it's crazy what gets shared nowadays.
Absolutely.
Like I have, or crazy what's just purely generated by AI without any human oversights whatsoever, and you don't notice it until you look at the details. Like for learning German, there's these story YouTube channels, and they have stories like, "Oh, I'm going with my bike through Germany, and here's my adventure." And then it says like, "Oh, I was only listening to the wind and the fan that my bicycle computer made." And I was like, "Wait a minute, bicycle computers don't have fans." Oh, the AI thinks bicycle computers have fans because computers have fans. Oh, the whole thing. He didn't even look, like check it for fact. Oh, okay.
What's a bicycle computer?
Like a like it says, "Oh, you did so and so many miles," like a little thing,
Oh, okay,
like a
okay,
Casio
okay.
watch on your wheel
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, the fan on my Casio watch was
Yeah.
overreacting. It's really blasting the air in my face. Yeah. Well, AI is going to be, a bigger and bigger part of the online landscape. So, when we're thinking about language learning, I'm sure there's tons of applications that AI could put into place or build, or people could build using AI. What do you see is on the horizon for your business in terms of, the AI world? Do you think it's going to be robust against AI, or are you using AI?
Yeah, I'm using AI. For example, there's the homework helper. You can write a text um, about, I don't know, lesson 50, and it says like, "Hey, what do you think, or how do you think would the dialogue continue if Tim actually said this, and how would Paul answer now?" Like, and then you can write like 100 words or something, and the AI will check it and tell you, "Oh, the verb is wrongly placed, or that word doesn't fit, or there's a letter missing here." So that's what I'm doing, but it's probably just like a couple of percent of what AI can actually do. Like I think if you have something like what we are having now with a video feed that you would never know that it's not a human, and you could just talk to him or her in German, and it would be just like a teacher, that would be helpful. I think it can never really like replace real human teachers, because I mean, unless you fool people and they never know it's AI. But if they know it's AI, is the AI teacher gonna say, "Oh, you missed your last appointment. I'm so sad. I was waiting here for 1 hour." Yeah, you're an AI. Like I don't care. But the real teacher, if you miss the appointment and leave him waiting, like then you're gonna care.
Right. But you better not talk to the AI like that, because, one day it's going to be all over for you. That's why I'm always nice to the AI. I always say please and thank you, and very polite and courteous. Because you never know, right? They turn into Skynet. You got all these Terminators walking around, and then they spot you, and they're like, "Oh, leave that one alone. He was always friendly." So
I think the
that's what I'm
Terminators
banking
are
on.
ourselves. Like
Yeah,
we want that stuff.
yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. So podcast is definitely the way you're growing this, right?
Yeah, up till now.
Hmm. Have you thought about running just regular ads to your websites? Maybe to get a free download or to the sign up page.
Yeah. Um, So up to recently, the idea how to grow was just a podcast. I had not done very well in Google Ads or ads in general. I had not done warm outreach, not done cold outreach. Um, I was always so. I think many people are that they are so super focused on the main product or service that they want to sell their thing.
Hmm.
Um, so that's their thing, and they focus only on that. Like over 90% of their working time is focused only on that, and then the other, I don't know, 5% maybe, oh, a little bit ads and marketing sales there. And I was like that too. But the whole story has 100 lessons, and I'm almost at lesson 90. So this year, I think probably I will can finish that and make everything that was not my business up till now my new business. So ads, marketing, sales, get better at that. I just heard like a day ago a research from Facebook ads. They had a research and they were like the top 0.1% of like the successful people in Facebook ads. They did 10 times as much testing for ad variations, which work and which don't, than the other people.
Hmm.
So yeah, how many ad variations am I doing? Like I'm pretty lazy, so like there's so much room there for me.
Right, right. I mean, testing is king, right? Especially when it comes to anything conversion focused.
Yeah,
It's
the
all about
website.
A/B testing.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. Definitely. The good thing is that you know that you have a business or an offer that converts. So you have an offer that people are willing to pay for. And if you're only doing 5% of your time or only spending 5% of your time on marketing, then you just got to shift that around a lot. So I'm firmly convinced that marketing is basically business. Business is marketing, and everything else is really a support function. To really grow the business, I believe that you basically have to shift into marketing. Of course, you need a great product, and having a great product is part of marketing, right? You have to know what to build, you have to know how to word things, and you
yeah,
have to know what people want and offer them that. But, after that, then it's really about getting the word out, ads, content marketing, anything you can do to really drive awareness.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited about that journey actually. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure I will know so much more than I do now.
Well, like I said, you're really lucky that you have an offer that converts because it just sounds like you just need to scale it.
Yeah, and if you know what you do, like if you know what you're doing more than I do, then that's probably just like, okay, I know I need to do this and this and this, and then and that would be it. But I'm just like I've been for the last 4 years so hyper focused on my product and the typical beginner mistake, I guess. But soon it's gonna be over, and then I shift my focus, and then all that is gonna hopefully fall in place.
That sounds awesome. So, if you're talking to somebody who wants to start their own language company and they're thinking about using stories, kind of following your model, not necessarily in the German space because you got that kind of locked up, but in, maybe Korean, I guess, if somebody wants to start that business, I'm all ears. But what would you advise for them? What are the core things that they should really think about focusing on to start that business?
Yeah, I thought about that a long time, and I think I found one guy on the internet. I think he's called Sabri Subri or Subri Sabri or something like that. And he said something like that. He asked these millionaires, what's your secret sauce?" And they were always giving him these generalities. And then, like one day, he took him aside. "Yeah, I know all that stuff, but what's the real thing? Give me the secret." "No, there is none. I told you everything already." So he figured out the exceptional people do the basics and they do them exceptionally well, so that you like so well that all the fancy stuff that other people do can't reach it. So my take, which will maybe get some eyes rolling, is pick your niche or niche and then crush it. Like I
Hmm.
didn't pick language learning in general. I would have competed with Duolingo and like $1 million enterprises. Like I picked my very uh how to say, my very narrow niche. That's where I can be the king of the world, where you don't find anybody else. And well, by crushing, I like my wife was second month pregnant, and I started working 100 plus hours a week because I figured I had 7 months left till the baby, and then I wouldn't be able to work that much anymore. But we have a nanny because this is China. Everybody has a nanny, and then the mother-in-law moves in, and she's basically a second nanny. So I was allowed to work a lot. So I still like worked 80, 90, and then 80 hours a week for a long time. So that was my idea of crushing it. And a second thing, invest 50% in your product or service that you want to sell, and the other 50% in sales, advertising, marketing. Like, don't
Hmm.
do what I do. And yeah, we're living in an attention economy. Like, attention or eyes on your product or service is gold. And if you like if you have a thing like a podcast or a blog or a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel, and if that is better than everybody else's because you put a lot of quality in your specific niche, then you'll be successful. If you think a little bit like a drug dealer, like what does he do? He gives the best stuff for free, and when when you're hooked, oh, I have some extra stuff for you, but now you're gonna pay. So the best stuff is for free, and only the cherry on top, that's what you need to pay for. So
Right.
for me, for German stories, you could learn German completely for free. Don't ever have to pay me anything. But you need to write your own flashcards. You need to take notes. You need to Google, oh, what was that grammar again? And that barrier is high enough so that people actually say, this is too much work. Let me just pay.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
I forgot one thing. But the best stuff is for free and only the extras are for pay. But that doesn't mean that you say, okay, I'm planning something that I could have easily put in and it would have totally made sense to put into my blog, podcast, YouTube channel, whatever. But I just choose to leave it out so that I can have the extra. No, you put in what totally makes sense to put in because people have brains. They're stupid. They know it would have perfectly been fine if you put it in, just for the fact that you then wouldn't have been in the position to say, okay, now this is my extra. So you do even more stuff that have no room in a YouTube video or in a blog or in a podcast, like digital flashcards, online exercises. And that is now your real extra, not just leaving stuff out on purpose.
Right.
Um, like having a story podcast and the third act or like before the end, it's like, oh, now you need to pay. Like, oh, you're gonna make people angry if you do that.
Right, right. Go the extra mile, then charge for it. In other words, give them everything that you got for free, but
Yeah,
then go the extra mile and charge for that extra mile. That's what you're saying.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Awesome.
That's
What's next on the agenda? I guess it's shifting into the marketing side of things.
Yeah, definitely. So up to now, each of these 100 lessons has been also a podcast episode. So there's like 88 podcast episodes outside, but they're very hard to produce because I need to meticulously, uh, like, be very detailed and count every word. I have Excel spreadsheets so that I can really only have a new lesson that only has 15 new words. So you need to count every single word, and it's hard to produce. So I shifted the podcast a little bit, have stories that other people who died more than 70 years ago, so it's no copyright on anymore. I can change it up a little bit, make the German easier, and make an awesome podcast episode with that. And now with your new idea to make my own story, or maybe have other people write the story for me and about the recent events, so I think that's probably good for the keywords and to get on trending, I guess. Have episodes with that and just like read it and then read it again, but sentence for sentence with a repeat, and maybe repeat the 10 most difficult words and tell them how to use them in a sentence, make a little exercise, and then that's that.
Right.
So I separated the lessons from the podcast episodes, and I made the idea that I will force myself not to go on and produce more like lessons, to not do that, to take the time and to get better at advertising, make ads on more platform than just Google on or Facebook, test more ad variations, somehow find a mentor, no idea how because I live in China, do regular cold outreach and warm outreach, and yeah, focus on being a better businessman till the money side finally is right. Because I
Right.
figured, like, if you, I don't know if you went to university or not. You did, right? You told me.
Yeah. Philosophy, something really useful.
Maybe you had some courses that everybody wanted to take, and the hall was full, and even the fire escape stairs were full, and in the hallway people were like, "What did he say? Can I copy your notes?" And then it was over full. But what happened 3 weeks later? It was half full. And what happens three
Right.
weeks after that? Like the curve goes down like that. And that's the same with many things in life, and also with German. Like, as you can imagine, taking that into account, the very first language level, which is the most important words and grammar of German, is what more than probably 95% of people that ever dip their toe into German learning at any point in their life will never achieve. So this course is more than like, this is it. This is the big one, and
Mhm.
I'm I'm certain or determined I will do the business side more. Definitely, yeah. Much, much more.
Thanks a lot for joining us today. I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, you're very welcome. It was actually fun thinking about all these things and then and taking notes and diving into it a little bit more.